Welcome, and this time I'm going to use Java in order to demonstrate about the Java Swing package, and we're going to specifically demonstrate about the JLabel and JTextField. So I'm going to create a new project. This one for let's say JLabel and TextField. Label and text, okay, label and text inside Java, okay, label text and button, label text and button inside Java, okay. Three of the very frequently used Swing component inside Java Swing application. So I'm gonna delete this one, okay, because we're going to use the new JFrame form. And once more, if you don't have new JFrame form there, you can click on this other and click on JSwing GUI form and choose JFrame form, okay. And this time I'm going to click on new JFrame form, and we're going to just select this one, Ctrl+C to copy and Ctrl+V to paste, finish. Then we have this JFrame, and let's say I'm going to demonstrate a simple form for us to input a student. So the first thing is we're going to drag and drop in a student form, a label, and right click on this one and say it's a student form. Okay, a student form, and inside this student form I'm going to design a label from here. Right click and edit text, okay, right click and right click on this one and edit text, and I want to edit this one into, let's say, student ID, okay, or just simply make it ID, okay. And we're going to need a JTextField, okay. Text field is this one, this one actually, if you do the mouse over, it is an object of JTextField, and we're going to drag and drop on this one. We're going to see JTextField like this, okay. And then we're going to have another one here which is let's say another label, okay. We'll design another label here which is for the student name, okay, for the student name. Let's see, okay. Right click on the edit text. This one is the name, okay. Well, I'm gonna balance it to here, okay. Then this one we're going to resize this one, and that's it. Let's just start with some of the introduction about this kind of component. So the labels here, okay, are used to display icons, okay, images or text, and most of the time is used the text. And this one is static text, which is used to hint, normally used to hint or display something for user to see, okay. And what you really just like in previous videos, you really just drag and drop them in, but what really happening inside there is, the Java will generate the corresponding objects for you, okay. They declare the objects with 1, 2, 3 labels and 1, 2 text field, and they are going to create the corresponding objects, okay, assign the variable for you in the init component method. And actually, when you start this JFrame, okay, when you start this when you start the JFrame, or when it creates this JFrame, okay, this a subclass of the JFrame, it's gonna call to this constructor, and when it's called to this constructor, it's gonna call to init components method, and the init component method is the place that place the Java generated code over there, and the generated code are the code for us to for that being to create the instances or the objects of the labels, text field or other instances correspondingly, okay, and set the text for them like we did over there, like student form, student ID, JTextField 1, JTextField 2, so on and so forth. Okay, so we're going to, that one is just for you to know, even though we are designing, but NetBeans is generating code behind that. Okay, and then now I'm going to talk to the naming convention inside Swing. Okay, a naming convention inside Swing. For naming convention inside Swing, normally we're going to name the components, let's say LBL for labels. Okay, and then TXT for text related components, BTN for button, so on and so forth. Okay, so normally we give this naming convention for your components. However, it is not a must to name all the components. Let's say for this label, I'm going to change label LBL welcome. Okay, LBL welcome. So if you change the variable name and if you look at the source code, okay, you'll see from here, okay, it's already changed into LBL welcome that we changed this now. Okay, LBL welcomes. Then if you look back at the design for ID and names, I'm not gonna access them inside the code. What does that mean, accessing inside the code? Let's say I'm not gonna set the text to this, okay, by code, or I'm not gonna get the text from this by code. So I do not need to change the labels for them, but I want to change the text field, because later on when user input data inside this text field, I want to take the text field out of it. So we're going to right click on this one. I'm going to edit this text and delete it. Right click on this one, edit this text and delete it. Then I'm going to right click on this one and right now change the variable names. Okay, change the variable names txt. This one I'm going to change it with txt id. So normally we use a naming convention is this one is a text field, that's why it's a text component. We're gonna put it txt, and it's id, which is normally the label id here for this field. Okay, similarly I'm gonna right click on this one and change variable name txt name. Is going to store the names over here. Okay, then in order to show you how to work with this kind of components, I'm going to demonstrate one more kind of component, which is a button. So I'm going to drag and drop in a JButton component. Okay, once more, even though you drag and drop in a JButton components, and actually it's going to create a button automatically here. It's create it's declare a button automatically here, and inside the init component method, it's going to create a new object and it's gonna set text for that button here. Okay, and when is this method is gonna be called whenever you create the new object of the JFrame here. Okay, it's gonna call to this constructor and it's gonna call to this init component method, which is this method. Okay, so your object won't be created. So in this case, I'm going to right click and change the text here into display to display the user inputted information. What the purpose of the GUI is most of the time is to get user input and user interaction. So I'm going to try to, the purpose of the JTextField is for user to input the data, and once user input the data, I would like to display that data out. Okay, display that data out. Okay, so we're going to learn about the button. When we learn about button, we need to show about event handling. However, by now I'm gonna have a video, next video for event handling specifically, because it's not enough time for this part. But by now, in order to react to, let's just run this application first. Okay, let's just run the application first, and you have the swing GUI form like this, and user can, let's say, input mid. Let's say this one is for our student GT0001. This one is the ID of the student, and this one is a meter. Jones. Okay, Jones, and if we click on this display, this one is a button. Okay, if you click on this display, it should react to the user action, which is if I click on this display, I would like to get the data from here. Let's say get the user input ID and get user input name and display it on the screen. Okay, so we need to react to the user actions or user input, which is action click over here. Okay, we'll talk more details about the events handling, events raising and event handling later. But right now, I'm just simply handle this display button in a normal way, and I explain in detail later. Okay, right now you just get it, use it. And what is the philosophy or the principles behind it? We're going to have a separate video about it. Okay, so I'm gonna right click on this one, events action perform. Okay, so when user click on this display button, it's gonna perform this one. Or I see a bad point that I didn't make is my button that I'm using it in code. Okay, but I didn't name it, so I have to rename this one. So I'm gonna right click on this one, change the variable name, change it into btn button display. Okay, btn is for button, button display is here, the text of it, and btn is for button. Click on OK. Now if you click on this one, you'll see when user click on this button, okay, it's gonna call to this button display method. How, why, we're gonna explain later, but right now just take my word, it's gonna call to this one. And when we click on that one, we're going to take the id that the user input. Okay, so we're gonna declare that the text field here is going to return as a string. Okay, the text field is written as a string, so we're gonna string id equal to txt. We got the text out of this text field, and a lot of students are confusing between the string, which is a text display on this, and the text field itself. Okay, the two are very different. The text field itself is an object of the text field itself. Let's say txt_id is an object of the JTextField. But what we are interested in is the string that the user input inside this text field, and that string is stored into a property which is called the text. So in order to get the text out of that one, we're going to do this one. We're going to access to txt_id. Okay, txt_id control space, txt and control space, choose id, which is this object. But once more, this txt_id is not the string. It's not the text that the user input over here. It's the whole object here, and we are interested in the text that user input inside that component. That's why you have to not get the text out, get the text from that component. A lot of students are confusing between the two. Okay, I have to separate you. The difference between the two is like this. I'm gonna show you here. Okay, the text field is the whole component like this. Okay, but the text is the string. Let's say GT00100001 over here. This one is the string, which is the text of the text field component. The two are different. Okay, then similarly you can get the string name equal to txt name dot get text. Okay, txt name dot get text. Then you're going to let's just say display id, which is plus the I want to declare string name result equal to id, okay, plus id. Then we're going to place a new line here. Then we're going to place it with let's say name. Then now we're going to place with name, place a new line over here. Then we just simply display it on the screen result. Okay. Then we will try to run this project. If we run this project, and let's just put the output over here. Okay, sorry, let's just bring this one down a little bit. So now if we type in the id GT0001, then let's say Jones again, and if you click on this display button, it's going to raise an event. It's going to call to this method. When it comes to this method, you're going to get id and set it from the text of this component to the string id. So the id equal to GT0001, and it's gonna get John and set it into name, which is the text of this txt name component. I'm gonna set to this one, and you create the result, which is id equal to id is id that we got, which is this one. Okay, and name is name variable, which is this storing this one currently, and you display it on the screen. So if you click on display, it's going to display on the screen like this. Okay, it's going to display on the screen like this. Displaying on the screen like this is right, but then it's not right for the Swing application. So I'm going to quickly introduce you to a way of displaying this message like that using JOption pane, which show message dialog. Okay, show message dialog, root pane, and you're gonna show the result like this. Okay, we'll learn more about dialog later, but this one is a basic way for us to show information on the screen. So if you can run like this one, run Okay, and if you put GT001 and then John, and if you click on display, okay, it's now nicely, and we complete the application using Swing application. Okay, we'll learn more about dialog later. Okay, so I think that's